I want to welcome you all to Unit 6 for Marketing 537. I want to start by sharing the marketing umbrella I created years and years ago. It was actually for undergrad students, but very applicable, and I use it for a lot of my marketing classes, particularly when we look at marketing strategy. It is everything that marketing encompasses. So it is our marketing mix variables, which are also known as the 4 Ps. I have 5 Ps here because we must consider our customers. So we start with people, the customers that we serve, and then we go into our product. Now, in this unit, we're going to really talk about product and all the variations that are considered product that we must work with to embrace the marketing mix variables. Then we have price. What are we going to charge? What's that exchange of value? Distribution, which is our place, and promotion. Our promotional strategies are advertising, public relations, personal selling, sales promotion, and direct marketing. We can do those through old media or new media as our channels. So we typically look at every marketing, every promotional strategy in light of old media, which would be television, radio, and print, and new media, which is digital, social, and mobile. We will be talking about all of those as we go through this entire course. But the other thing that we must look at is the handle that holds up all of the marketing, and that is our market research. Every single aspect or area of marketing in the marketing mix variables must be researched so that we can have the best information to make the best strategic decisions. We don't want to do it in a vacuum and we don't want to guess. Typically, we're utilizing our research to work within the macro and micro environments of marketing, and we'll get into a lot of that throughout this unit. But again, today and in this lecture for our Unit 6, we're going to really be looking at product and all the variations of product that exists. So just keep in mind, I created this as a visual so that you would remember what marketing is when people say it's sales or advertising. You can refer to the marketing umbrella and say, oh, no, it's much more than that. Sales and advertising fall under those promotional strategies, although they are what we think of as sort of the sexy aspects of marketing. They're the things that we're exposed to as customers on a daily basis. And so it's what we are most familiar with. And so we tend to think of that solely as marketing, but sales and advertising being a promotional strategy usually takes place after we've already figured out everything in our promotional mix, our customers, our product, the price we're going to charge, and how we're going to distribute it. That promotional aspect of marketing is how we communicate that information. So let's take a look at product characteristics and classification. So anything that can be offered to market, anything that satisfies a customer's want or need can be considered a product. So it could be a tangible physical good, something you can touch or feel. It could be a service, a visit to the doctor, dentist, or your accountant. It could be experiences, holiday travel. Maybe some of you are looking at where you're going to go or what you're going to do for Memorial Day. And so you're looking at travel locations. Could be events. Here in the South, where I live, the Kentucky Derby is a big deal, and there were a lot of events across my city for the Kentucky Derby, watching it and having parties surrounding all the things taking place with the Kentucky Derby. It could be people. We have celebrities that get marketed, politicians. People are marketed every day. Places, properties. If you're selling a house, you're marketing that property. Organizations, I'm sure that within La Sierra University, there are a lot of student organizations, and those organizations are getting marketed to get new members and find things for the students involved in those organizations to do. It can be information, public service announcements, things that we want people to do when we're trying to, um, one that that is most recent in our memory is information about COVID when that was taking place. We had lots and lots of information coming to us. And then ideas, we can always market ideas. And so when I talk to students and they may say, I'm not a marketing major, I have to take this class, but you will always be able to find something to market. It may be yourself trying to find a job or move within your career. It may be an idea that you have. Maybe you're in your organization and you have an initiative that you want everybody to adopt. You need to market that idea to get people on board with it. So there is always going to be something that you can market. So many, many types of what we term product, different characteristics and classifications. So if we look at product differentiation, and we have cars there because there's a lot of differentiation even within vehicles. If you wanted to look at a certain make of vehicle, you've got many different models of a vehicle. But products can be differentiated on their form, how they look. They can be differentiated based on their features, their performance quality or their conformance quality, their durability, how reliable they are, if they can be repaired, the style of them, and even customization. That's a really big deal right now, is for people to be able to customize things, make it more personal. At my coffee bar, I was there yesterday, and customers were getting a lot of different drinks, coffee drinks customized. So we have our basic menu, and then many customers want to add things, take things away, change up some of the options that are available. And really, with all the many ingredients that we have, you can customize, mix and match, and customize your drink exactly how you want it. So lots of things happen with product differentiation. Within services, and that's, when we look at product, we're looking at actual products that we can touch and feel. Services can also be differentiated based on how easy it is to order, delivery options, installation. Let's say you had a service installing windows in a house, that installation could be a service differentiation factor. Customer training, customer consulting, maintenance and repair. So lots of things make services different. Now, one of the things I always appreciate about a service business, and my coffee bar is a hybrid. It's part product, part service. But when you are in a service industry, you are front facing with your customer. So you can get a lot of that market research by talking with your customer. You can make sure they're completely satisfied with what it is they're obtaining from your business. So services have a lot of advantages to make sure that you get it right with your customer and that you can differentiate considerably with that customer. We also have design differentiation, and you see that with cars. Now, some cars, when I look out there, seems to me a lot of them are trying to look very similar to one another, but you can have differentiation in the design. And I would almost say that the Tesla truck is a product that really looked at design differentiation. And design is based on the features that affect not only the way the product looks, but how that product functions for that customer. And most of that design element should be based on that market research around the customer needs and wants. So a cool design is one thing, but the product has to perform and it has to meet the needs and wants of the customer. When we look at product hierarchy, companies have a product system. So a lot of times they'll have that mix or assortment of products. Here we have a photo of laundry detergent. That's a pretty crowded aisle if you go to your grocery store. Lots of different types of form and function of the laundry detergents. Another good aisle for the form and function or product hierarchy would be cereals or candy. When I was teaching actually in the classroom, my examples for product and product line, looking at the width, depth, length, and consistency of the product assortment of a company was to use Reese's peanut butter cups. Started out with that basic peanut butter cup, and now if you go and look at the width of the peanut butter cup line, there are a lot of Reese's peanut butter products. They have cereal bars, they have cereal, they have peanut butter, they have all different types of form and function mixing chocolate and peanut butter. So they've got a lot of width to their product line, but they've also got a lot of lengths and depth. So if you go to look at Reese's, just the peanut butter cup, they've got the white peanut butter cups. They've got many different sizes that you can buy of the peanut butter cups. When you go into a holiday season, they will have, specific. They used to make little, and I think they probably still do. I haven't looked at it for quite some time, but Halloween, they would have a Reese's peanut butter cup in the shape of a bat. They have it in the shape of a bunny for Easter. So lots of different types of product, all using that same brand, which they're known for, which is the peanut butter and the chocolate. When we look at that product line analysis, oftentimes companies will put together that product map and they'll look at how they can stretch the product line. So they could do a down market stretch and make products for more affordable for different types of consumers, and they can do an up market stretch and they can have luxury products for a different type of consumer. All along the way, they could fill that total line. And here we have in this slide vehicles, cars. So car manufacturers have done this for years where they will have all different types of models of cars. So you can even go get a model of a car and get that base model that does not have all the luxury amenities and features. You can add those on as you go, which is obviously going to increase the price. When you go to a car dealership, you will find very basic cars and basic models, and you will find higher end models. So, all meeting the needs and wants of different types of consumers. And of course, that goes along with a totally different price tag. So, if you look at, I used to have a vehicle, BMW X5, and I had my BMW mechanic. He went to work for Lexus, and I said, "Well, I just bought a Toyota." He said, "Lisa, Lexus is the luxury line for Toyota. So when you're in getting your car serviced, I am there at the dealership working in the back on the Lexus vehicles." So some of that line stretching, Toyota has the Toyota vehicles. They have that luxury line, which is the Lexus. So when we look at, remember our marketing umbrella and our marketing mix variables, we have the customer, the people, we have the product, and we have the pricing. So along with that product mix, we have to develop that pricing. And we just talked about the product line stretching, offering something for the down market as well as something for the up market stretch. So, product line pricing. You would have, again, a car dealership is a really good example because you can go there, you can find the base models, and they're going to have a certain price. As you start adding those various features and amenities to the vehicle, you'll watch that price go up. So that's that product line pricing. You can have optional feature pricing. So again, you see it with a car, they're going to have that optional feature that will add to the price of that. Captive product pricing. So you're all students. You probably use a lot of printers. You know that if you go to buy or purchase a printer, the printer itself is pretty economical. It's not going to cost a lot. You can find some fairly reasonable printers for sale. What makes the cost high is that captive product. You've got to have ink in order to make the printer work. And that ink is incredibly expensive. So you've got that captive product pricing. The ink doesn't do much without the printer, and the printer doesn't do much without the ink. You can have two-part pricing where you're going to pay something up front and then you pay something on the back end. So that also is part of our pricing strategy. You can have byproduct pricing. It's spring here in Tennessee, a lot of gardening going on, a lot of landscaping, lots of mulch. We are buying lots of mulch for our flower beds. That is a byproduct. It's a byproduct of wood. When you cut down trees, or even have trees that come down, you can zip them up into mulch, and that mulch goes back into the earth as a way to provide for our landscaping. And then you can have product bundle pricing. Think about a vacation package. If you were going on a cruise, that would be product bundle pricing. There's a lot of things that get included in the price that you pay for that cruise. You might have food, you might have drink, you might have excursions all included in that product bundle. Couple other things that we look at, co-branding, two or more well-known brands combine and they market together. So again, a good example, if you're in the grocery store, go down the cereal aisle and you'll see two products that have come together. I think the Reese's is one of my examples that I've used for years. There's a Reese's cereal, and I believe I'm trying to think. I think they're a General Mills brand. I can't remember. Here locally where I live, we had Little Debbie snack cakes partnered with an ice cream. I think it was Bluebell ice cream and created some Little Debbie ice cream flavors. So that's co-branding, two companies, two products coming together to make a single product, but you've got both brand names affiliated with that. So it can happen as the same company. It could be a joint venture. You could do multi-sponsorship. You could have retail establishments that work that way. Or you can simply just have two products that one may manufacture something, the other one contributes to it, and they both get that brand name on that product. That co-branding creates that brand equity coming from both really strong brands. And then packaging. Packaging is incredibly important. Designing and producing a container for that product. My coffee beans are really good. I sell a lot of coffee beans. I think I would sell a lot more coffee beans if I could afford the really cool, really neat packaging that I want to do with those coffee beans. And so I'm working towards being able to do that and making those coffee beans all that much more special for my consumers and people that want to have trial of that product. Your packaging objectives, really, it's brand identity. You have to be able to convey information. So think of your packaging as a little mini advertisement because it's going to give a description and hopefully persuade the consumer to buy that product. Again, imagine yourself in the cereal aisle at your grocery store. Every front of a cereal box facing you in that aisle is a mini billboard for that cereal product. So if you had no idea, you never tasted any cereal, but you wanted to buy some cereal, that would be where you would get the information walking down that aisle. And it can also help facilitate the transportation. It protects that product. Many packages also assist with at-home storage. You notice that a lot of products you buy now have the Ziploc bags that come with them. So cheese is a good example. You're buying your cheese already shredded. You open that package and then it has that Ziploc so you can store that right back after using part of it. And I will say, when you think about getting that description and that persuasion on the front of that package, I spent a lot of time in Vietnam. I teach there, and I'll spend a couple months at a time teaching at Vietnam National University. And when I go into, there's a great little grocery store right across from the university that I'll often go to and buy things to take home and make dinner because I'm there for a long, long time. You know, you get sick of eating out. But uh, I can't read the packaging, right? It's in Vietnamese. That's a really hard language to read. I know a few words and a few things, but the pictures on the packaging are incredibly helpful for me understanding what's inside that package, particularly if you go to buy noodles, they'll have what kind of animal product is in the noodles. So they'll have a little picture of it on the front of the packaging. And I never realized how important that packaging was and the description of the information telling what's in the package until you go to a foreign country and you're like, okay, I got to figure out what it is that I am actually buying. And that's where that comes into play, and you realize how important that package is in conveying information. Along with your packaging, you're going to have the labeling or warranties and guarantees. Now, here in the US, we have very specific information that has to go on the label for food products. So, not only does the label promote the product, but it also gives you a lot of information, letting you know nutritional value and things of that nature. It'll give descriptions on what's in the product. A lot of times, too, you'll have warranties that come with it or some kind of guarantee that is listed on that label, which is part of the packaging. Many products have certain requirements, so it's very important that you understand the industry, you understand the legal and political implications of the products that you're selling and what is required for your labeling and packaging. So, what happens when you want to develop a new product? Well, every new product goes through a new product development process. It starts spot number one, idea generation. And a lot of times you'll come together as a group and everybody will put their ideas out there. And at that idea generation stage, there is no bad idea. You're coming up with a lot of different ideas. You may be wanting something to be part of a new market. You may be looking to attract a new group of consumers. So you've got to figure out what your goal is in developing this new product. But idea generation can be a lot of fun. And you want to then look and see, is the idea worth considering? If it is not, then you drop it. If it is, then you go to the next stage, which is idea screening. Is the product idea compatible with the company and its objectives, its strategies, the resources that are available? Again, if no, then you drop it. If yes, you create the concept, you put it into development and testing. Can we find a good concept consumers say that they would try? If no, then you drop it. If yes, then you go to the marketing strategy. What is that marketing strategy that will help launch this product concept? If you can't find a cost-effective, affordable marketing strategy, then you drop the product idea. If you can, then you go into business analysis. Will this product meet the profit goal? If no, you drop it. If yes, then you go into product development. Have we got a technically and commercially sound product? If no, then you drop it. If yes, you go into market testing. You have that product, it has the sales, have the sales met expectations in that test market. If no, you send the idea back for product development, rework a few things till you get it to where you can do commercialization. Some stages of test marketing, you may drop that product. And a great example is I remember when I was a kid, I lived in the Midwest, and the Midwest is typically a region where there's a lot of product testing that takes place. They figure if Midwesterners will adopt it, everybody else will as well. So, in my particular market where I lived, McDonald's was testing pizza. Now, obviously, that never went anywhere. Nobody ever got pizza from McDonald's. That's just not something that really meshed with the brand of McDonald's or with the consumer that was buying product from McDonald's. So that idea got dropped. Now, sometimes you may just need to tweak a few things. I'm a test market right now for a Vitamix blender, and we love the blender. It's great, but it's supposed to be the quiet one, and we have the old version, which is super quiet. This new one that they brought to us to try is super noisy. So we have a whole form that we fill out. We talk with them. It's part of their research process, but they're test marketing with us because we use the blender quite a bit and for our blended beverages at the coffee bar. So test marketing can do a lot of different things. So you can go back and retweak it, or you can drop it all together. So you want to make sure on a lot of things before you go into that commercialization, you want to make sure that the product is meeting sales expectations, but it also has to meet customer expectations. Is this something the customer wants to buy? So this is the stage of new product development, how things flow in most organizations and most companies. We, on the other hand, as consumers, that tells you how products get made. How do we as consumers adopt products? So every single product that we look at has to go through this adoption stage. Now, some products, let's say you had a bottle of water, that adoption process is going to go quickly. You're still going to go through all of these stages, but you may go through them very quickly. If it's a more complex product, you're going to probably spend a bit more time in each of these stages of adoption. So, as consumers, we have to become aware that a product exists. From that awareness stage, we want to be interested in the product and using the product. Oftentimes, then we evaluate, we try it, and then we adopt it. So, a lot of companies, that trial stage is a big deal. Go to a car dealership, they're going to let you drive it. That's part of the trial. A lot of times in a grocery store, you've got a new product that hits the market. They're going to have sampling within the grocery store. They're going to have ways for you to actually try that product. I know when I was getting ready to open my coffee bar, while I was in development for my build out of my space, I went around town to every single function for 6 to 8 months, letting the consumers in my community try my coffee. I wanted to get it right. I wanted to have an understanding of what kind of pastries they would be looking for when they came in to get their coffee. I wanted to know if they liked the flavor profile of the coffee I was planning on serving. I wanted to understand the kind of coffee drinks they would be ordering. And so going to community farmers markets, any kind of events. I would set up my booth and give away free coffee. But in order to get that free coffee, you had to talk to me about your tastes and preferences. It's part of that trial process. So when I actually ended up opening my coffee bar, I had a lot of consumers that were already willing and wanting to consume my product. But factors that are going to influence that adoption process, every customer is different. Every customer has a different breadth of experiences that they bring with them, and that creates that influence. So things that affect one person may be different for another person. So when we look at consumers, we have them lumped into five different types. We have the innovators, which they're going to be the first people to try something. They are always out there looking for the next greatest thing. That is only about 2.5% of your total market. They're going to be those innovators. Early adopters are going to be about 13% of your market. Early majority, 34%. Late majority is 34%. And then you get those laggards at 16% of the total market. When you look at this graphic, think about something technologically advanced like the iPhone. You have those innovators who are going to be standing in line or they've already pre-ordered the next generation of an iPhone. That innovator is 2.5%. Why is this graphic important? Well, it's important to understand from a sales perspective of what you can expect to see when your product hits the market and how consumers adopt that product. So just like with the iPhone, as the old version is phasing out and you've got a new version coming on, that 16% of the market that's laggards, they're going to come in and start buying that old version, while you've got the innovators looking at buying the new version. So, how products enter and exit the market, this is important to match up with your customer base. If we look at factors influencing that adoption process and the characteristics of innovation, innovation has to have some kind of relative advantage for the consumer. It has to have some kind of compatibility. It's got a lot of complexity that goes with it. It has to be divisible. You have to be able to get it out there and you have to be able to communicate it to your market. The product life cycle, we're jumping around here, really wanted to cover the major points of chapters that you're going to be studying this unit 6. The product life cycle. Every product has a life cycle. Some of them have longer life cycles, and some of them are shorter, much more condensed. But each stage of that product life cycle is going to have a specific marketing strategy, and you'll see a difference in profits and sales. So, companies' positioning and differentiation changes as the product goes through this product life cycle. So you'll start at the introduction. The product is first hitting the market. You might see sales start to climb. Not going to see a lot of profit because you've got all the research and development and expense that goes with getting that product to market. As the product starts to grow, goes through that growth stage, you'll see sales start to rise pretty rapidly. You'll also start to recognize some profit from that product. You aren't necessarily spending as much on sales and marketing activities, and you've recouped some of that cost from the introduction phase. It's during maturity that you really see sales start to climb and peak and then level off. This is also the stage where you see the most from your profit as well. You aren't spending as much on market. People are aware of the product that it exists, and so you're going to see those sales take off. It's during the decline stage that sales start going down. you don't see as much profit from the product, you maybe have already started to introduce the next version of the product, or you've got some exit strategy for that particular product. It's at that introduction stage where you're really going to have to rely heavily on your advertising to get information out there and let people know that the product exists. So, to be the first to introduce a product can be rewarding, but it's also risky and expensive. So you've got a lot of marketing costs at that introduction stage. Successful imitators offer lower prices, people continually improving the product. A lot of things take place at that introduction stage, and that is where the bulk of your work as a marketer is going to take place. The growth stage is sustained rapid market share growth. You might look to improve product quality. You're going to add new models. You might enter new segments. You're going to look at how you increase your distribution. Some other strategies include shifting from awareness and trial to getting those preferred or loyal customers. You might cut your price to attract that price conscious buyer, but be really careful on how you utilize your pricing strategies during that growth stage. Once you cut prices, it's hard to go back to any kind of higher price. So keep that in mind. At the maturity stage, you may have product modifications or product or market modifications, or even just the way you market the product might change drastically. You may have a distribution strategy. You may go from in-store retail to online sales or vice versa. You may have started with online sales and then you go to in-store bricks and mortar sales. So you may have different marketing strategies as you get into that maturity stage. And then the decline stage is where you actually get rid of those weak products. You have that exit strategy, or you may harvest and divest. You may get rid of the product, or you may harvest it and find new and improved ways to reintroduce the product. If we look at service, the service industry, just briefly here, the nature of services, any kind of act or performance one party can offer to another that's intangible and does not result in ownership of anything. So lots of things fall under that service category. If you were to look at, and I already mentioned my coffee bar, but restaurants, they're a mix because they have that service component, but they also have that tangibility component that goes with them. So that's sort of a hybrid. Um, but if you look at, getting your taxes done, that is a service. Going to the physician, that is a service. And so you've got to look at the nature of the service. Now, I already mentioned the thing that I really like about it is that you're front facing with your customer. And so you have a feeling for if the customer, you can make sure that they're completely satisfied before they leave your place of business. We have here, I have a slide that shows you the continuum for product types. So if we look at most goods, easy to evaluate, you have clothing, jewelry, furniture, high in search qualities, um, things like restaurant meals, vacations, haircuts, childcare. They're high in experience qualities. And then you get into the real services like television repair, legal services. They're high in credence qualities. So you've got different ways to evaluate it, but you see where you've got the goods and then the intersection or hybrid of a good and a service to a purely service related product type. If we look at the distinctive characteristics of services, they're intangible. You can't really separate them from the person providing the product. So I suffer that with my coffee bar because I have some baristas that are better than others. So customers kind of want to know what the schedule is. They get their preferred barista. Yeah, I wish it was as easy as everybody makes the drink exactly the same. And although we have protocols in place and we have recipes and we go through training on how to do it, inevitably you're going to have different baristas that are going to make the drinks better than others. So it's impossible to separate from the person providing it. And I just went through a lot of variability, and with services, they're perishable. It doesn't last forever. When you're there with that person, you're consuming the service at the same time it is being provided. We already talked about variability with my drinks and perishability. Services can't be stored, and your strategies have to match that demand and supply. You might have some different pricing, non-peak demand. We do something at the coffee bar. We have a buy one, get one happy hour from 3 to 6. That's typically been our slowest time. But that demand then for non-peak hours, our pricing that we did with it, our marketing strategy has now made that time frame from 3 to 6 a really busy time. Supply side, you need different employees, different types of services, or different facilities for different times. So I know that on our weekends we have a co-working space, but our co-workers aren't there on the weekend. We need extra seating because we're usually really busy on the weekend, so we open up that co-work space and allow people to sit in that. So we have that expansion on that supply side. Um, so a lot of things happen with that perishability, but understanding how your services flow and how your customers react is going to be important. Um, Customer empowerment. You've got to make sure you keep your employees happy. Customers are very demanding these days. Man, I was in there this weekend because we got really busy, and we're a little bit understaffed right now. So I've kind of had to go in and fill in and help. It's always good for me to be in there and understand, but man, it's hard being front facing with those customers, and just teaching your employees how to react to that customer empowerment and demand is incredibly challenging. Um, when we look at marketing excellence and service marketing, you have the company, you have your external marketing, your internal marketing, your employees, and your customers. So, a wide range of things that have to intersect and interact in order to have great marketing. So, achieving excellence in service marketing, you've got top management commitment, high standards. You look at your profit tiers, looking constantly at customers, how to keep them satisfied, what they like, what they don't like. You've got the systems that help monitor that, and then your different profit tiers. So, managing that service quality, some of the reasons why customers switch, pricing, convenience. There may be some kind of service failure or some bad service encounter, or how you respond to a service failure. Oftentimes, competition or ethical problems can happen as well. A lot of times, there's some involuntary switching. We've had a lot of times customers have moved. So we've had really loyal customers, and then they end up moving to a new market area. They'll often come back, but they'll tell us that they are no longer coming in every day because they moved and are no longer close by. So, looking at that service quality model, you've got that word of mouth communication, past experiences that help set up that expectation for service. You've got external communications to your consumers. You've got that service delivery and how that all translates, and then how management impacts your employees and how they respond and what that expectation is. So, some determinants of service quality: the reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and then any tangibles that go along with it. So, just as an example, tangibles would be the atmosphere in my coffee bar. It would be the seating that's available. It would be the fact that we serve our coffee drinks in mugs on saucers and on these little wooden trays, and we try to give all kinds of tangible things that create an exceptional experience when our customers are in there drinking coffee. Some self-service technologies have come up. We don't have a lot of them in my market area. There are a few, like when I go to the airport, I like to tag my own bag and then I just need to drop it off, worth it not to have to stand in line. So that self-service technology of being able to tag my own bag and check it is really helpful. Sometimes you'll have automatic check-ins at hotels. Sometimes you'll go into restaurants. I know Panera Bread, you can go to the kiosk and place your order. You don't have to go up and interact with a person. Sometimes it can make transactions more accurate or more convenient and faster. It can reduce costs for companies, certainly, but it can also leave room for error. Depends on how easy the technology is for the consumer to be able to self-serve use it. Um, Three types of customer worries: failure, downtime, and out-of-pocket costs. So customers are always worried about those types of things. And so as a company, if you can help alleviate any of that or provide assurance to your customer, that's going to go a long way to customer satisfaction. So lots of information. You have your book, we have this lecture, you'll have your exercises that you're going to do, and I can always be available for office hours. So all you need to do is message me through the course room. Let me know when you need to reach out, or we need to have an office hour, we need to have a meeting, and I'm happy to do that for you.